A velvet dawn settled over the mall when Buckingham Palace released a fresh set of photographs, images so quietly majestic they seemed plucked from another century. There stood King Charles III, ribbons glinting, sword at his side, preparing to pin Britain's highest honours onto a handful of remarkable citizens. On any other day that tableau would have owned the headlines. But what came next surprised everyone. Almost the same hour, 5 time zones away in California, Prince Harry's team dropped a date, July 10, 2027, the day the Invictus Games will open in Birmingham, confirming the Duke's next home turf appearance. 2 announcements, one heartbeat apart, instantly rewired the royal conversation. Tradition versus reinvention, father at the palace versus son planning a comeback. Let's begin inside the picture gallery, where sunlight filters through crystal chandeliers and centuries of protocol unfold like clockwork. At 76, the king could be forgiven for slowing down while cancer treatments continue in the background, yet there he was, upright and meticulous, greeting honorees with a warmth that rippled through the velvet-roped hall. The cameras lingered on one recipient in particular, a broad-shouldered sportsman whose name still summons cheers in northern pubs. Sir Billy Boston, rugby league legend, stepped forward in a navy suit that couldn't quite hide the power in his frame. Charles fixed the Knight Bachelor badge to Billy's lapel, and for a heartbeat Wiggins' old terraces seemed to echo under the palace roof. 571 tries, 488 matches, all distilled into a single pin and a monarch's nod. But the scroll of names hadn't ended. Next came London's own mayor, Sadiq Khan, immaculately turned out, hands clasped to still their tremor of anticipation. "Arise, Sir Sadiq," the king declared, recognizing nearly a decade of steering Europe's largest city through pandemic, inflation, and more than one late-night transport strike. Khan later admitted on social media the moment left him deeply humbled, yet observers couldn't help noticing the timing. A fresh knighthood barely a fortnight after he secured an unprecedented 3rd term in office. The palace, it seems, knows how to entwine civic momentum with ceremonial gravitas. Meanwhile, those polished images raced across the royal Instagram feed. Likes spiraled, comments gushed, so proud of Sir Billy. Well deserved, Mr. Mayor. Until a second notification chimed on screens worldwide. The Invictus Foundation, Prince Harry's pride and creation, announced Birmingham 2027, opening ceremony July 10, closing July 17. No ambiguous phrasing, no sources close to. Just a definitive return date for the prince who left Britain in 2020 amid fireworks of controversy. And that's when things started to change. Royal correspondents scrambled to weave the two narratives together. On the one hand, the sovereign reinforcing centuries-old duty, on the other, his younger son charting an independent course that still leads him back to British soil. Some columnists emphasized contrast, palace marble versus grassroots sport, father's sword tap versus son's stadium anthem. Others smelled strategic choreography, a palace keen to project stability releasing photographs mere hours before Invictus reclaimed the spotlight, ensuring neither storyline eclipsed the other. Coincidence or chess move? The debate lit up talk radio switchboards before lunch. Here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Sources whispered that during Sir Billy's investiture, Charles spoke quietly about service that binds generations, a phrase he reportedly repeated moments later while knighting Khan. It landed like a coded message. Duty is elastic, stretching from battlefield to rugby pitch to city hall and perhaps, by extension, to adaptive sports arenas where wounded veterans rediscover purpose. If that subtext was intentional, it tethered Invictus to the crown without a single official statement. Across the Atlantic, Prince Harry's camp wasted no time amplifying anticipation. The 2027 Games, they revealed, will feature winter sport events for the first time, indoor rowing on ice, wheelchair curling drills imported from Canada, turning Birmingham into a carnival of resilience. The prince himself, they confirmed, intends to spend extensive time in the host city engaging with competitors, families, and local communities. Translation: expect him on British streets far longer than a polite cameo. Yet the question lingers, how will that presence intersect with palace corridors? Relations remain, at best, delicate. Inside sources say no meeting with his father is on the calendar, too early, one aide muttered, but 4 years is a lifetime in royal rapprochement. One veteran courtier recalled 1995, when Charles and Diana exchanged tense handshakes at a wreath-laying, only to share a private laugh 2 months later at William's school play. Never assume stasis, the courtier cautioned. Underneath etiquette, human emotion ebbs and flows. Back to the investiture hall. As the ceremony wrapped, Sir Billy's grandchildren thronged the quadrangle, clutching tiny programs emblazoned with the royal arms. Reporters asked what the moment meant. One granddaughter answered through tears, "He played so people could feel joy. Now joy's come home to him." The quote rocketed across social media, gathering momentum alongside Invictus hashtags. 2 separate events, one common denominator: sport as a vehicle for national healing. But what came next surprised everyone again. Late afternoon, a palace footman delivered a sealed envelope to the press office. Inside, confirmation that Sir Billy and Sir Sadiq will be invited to next summer's garden parties alongside a contingent of Invictus athletes slated for a pre-games reception. If both men accept, Birmingham 2027's ambassadors will mingle with Buckingham's latest honorees under the same marquise. A delicate mesh of monarchy and Harry's brainchild woven in plain sight. Still, palace watchers know gestures can only go so far. Out in California, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex prepare their Netflix cameras for the journey. In London, columnists sharpen rhetorical blades about partial returns versus full reconciliations. The stakes are higher than a media cycle. Charles's reign is still young, Harry's public image oscillates by the week, and public faith in the institution hinges on the optics of unity or at least coexistence. All eyes now pivot to July 2027. Will the King attend the Invictus opening? Will William represent the crown instead? Or will senior royals keep a deliberate distance, allowing Harry the full glare of his own spotlight? Each scenario carries risk, each offers opportunity. A joint appearance could flood tomorrow's front pages with triumphal headlines: "Family heals for heroes." A no-show might inflame whispers of an unbridgeable rift. Somewhere, private advisors weigh seating charts against tabloid fury. Yet rewind to today's photographs and remember what remains constant. A monarch pins medals on those who serve, a prince rallies warriors to push beyond injury. 2 generations, 2 styles, one through line: public duty. Strip away titles and the message converges: recognize courage, honor perseverance, amplify hope. Which brings us to you. When you scroll past Sir Billy's beaming face or Harry's Invictus countdown, which narrative captures you more, the palace's steady heartbeat or the prodigal prince's next chapter? Do you root for a reunion on Birmingham's opening night, or are you content watching 2 parallel paths unfold? Drop your thoughts below. The comment section is where royal stories meet democratic debate. And do me a favor, if this double feature of crowns and comeback set your mind racing, tap that like button. It nudges the algorithm to share these nuances with fellow royal sleuths. Subscribe and ring the bell, because the next photograph, the next date drop, might redraw the map yet again, and we'll be right here to trace every curve. Until then, keep an eye on those palace windows. Keep another on the Invictus countdown clock. Somewhere between Charles's investiture sword and Harry's starting pistol lies the future of Britain's most famous family. Stay curious, the next twist could surface with the very next sunrise.